If you can't do for yourself what the white man is doing for himself, don't say you're equal with the white man. That's right. If you can't set up a factory like he sets up a factory, don't talk that old equality talk. Who are you? You don't know. Don't tell me Negro, that's nothing. What were you before the white man named you a Negro? And where were you? And what did you have? What was yours? What language did you speak then? What was your name? It couldn't have been Smith or Jones or Bunch or Powell. That wasn't your name. They don't have those kind of names where you and I came from. No, what was your name? And why don't you now know what your name was then? Where did it go? Where did you lose it? Who took it? And how did he take it? What tongue did you speak? How did the man take your tongue? Where is your history? How did the man wipe out your history? What did the man do to make you as dumb as you are right now? This is American justice. This is American democracy. And those of you who are familiar with it know that in America, democracy is hypocrisy. Now, if I'm wrong, put me in jail. But if you can't prove that a democracy is not hypocrisy, then don't put your hands on me. Democracy is hypocrisy. If democracy means freedom, why aren't our people free? If democracy means justice, why don't we have justice? If democracy means equality, why don't we have equality?
Peace and love, family. Welcome to the Northeast Political Prisoner Coalition platform. This is where we reflect on political prisoners, reflect on who they are and why they need to be important to us. Today, we reflect on Malcolm X being 100 years old. What does that mean? Brother Frank, and I'm with former political prisoner.
Brother Tariq. I'm Tariq. I am a Black Panther. I'm a former member of the Black Liberation Army. I spent 17 years in various American death camps as a prisoner of war. This year is the 100th anniversary of Malcolm's birth. On this 100-year anniversary of Malcolm's birth, I want to say I am happy Malcolm walked on top of the earth for 39 years.
That's an excellent statement. You know, Malcolm means a lot to me, right? But before I get into what Malcolm means to me and what Malcolm at 100 years old means altogether, right? I want to go through a timeline. I want to look at Malcolm's life. So in 1929, 1925, 1925, Malcolm X was born. 1929, a little family home burns down. 1931, Malcolm's father is found dead on train tracks. 1946, sentenced to 8 to 10 years in prison for larceny and burglary. 1948 to 1949, converts to the Nation of Islam while in prison. 1952, released from prison on parole. 1953, becomes assistant minister in Detroit. 1954, appointed chief minister in Harlem. 1958, marries Betty Williams. 1960, starts Muhammad Speaks, the Nation of Islam's monthly newsletter. 1961, appointed national representative of the Nation of Islam. 1963, Malcolm X travels to Africa and the Middle East. 1964, leaves the Nation of Islam and forms his own organization, the Muslim Mosque, Inc., and the Organization of Afro-American Unity. 1965, assassinated at the Audubon Ballroom in New York City. So there you have it, brothers and sisters. That's Malcolm's life. And what does it mean for us as supporters and us who Malcolm is dear to us? There are a number of books that I brought today with me to deal with today's discussion. This one is The Last Year of Malcolm X, The Evolution of a Revolutionary. Malcolm X, The Last Speeches, and this other book out of my library, The Assassination of Malcolm X. I think I was a teenager when I first came across the ideas of Malcolm X. I know a friend of mine, a very dear friend, was reading the book. I attempted to read it at that time, and I wasn't able to get that deep into it. But it was a couple of years later, around 20, I was about 21 years old, where I read the whole autobiography of Malcolm X. And what it did for me, it awakened me. It allowed me to look at my life and look at what I had held as the truth, and what was I going to commit myself to. And obviously that idea had to evolve, but it germinated from the point of reading the autobiography of Malcolm X. And I had to make a decision on how I was going to utilize that and allow it to make me a better person, and allow it to reflect on how I was going to deal with people. Brother, when you think about Malcolm X or just Malcolm's ideas, when did it reflect on you, or when did it impact you?
Well, it impacted me as a teenager. As a matter of fact, I was a teenager. I was in Vietnam, and a brother invited me to hear the speeches of Malcolm X. And Malcolm was saying that, "How did you lose your name?" I'm paraphrasing him. "How did you lose your name? And what is your history? What is democracy? If this is a democratic society, how come blacks are not free?" And he was introducing concepts like that, and that it impacted me, and it really let me know that there's much that I didn't know, even though I was an A student in school. But the things that he introduced to me were new to me, and they were very relevant. And he was letting me know about the system that we live under, and all of that impacted me in the way of inclining me to begin to study, because I had to admit there was much that I didn't know. And this man had the audacity to introduce it to me, introduce some things to me that I didn't know. And so I vowed then that I had to study everything, and to order to know what it is that this society is about, and what it is that I was dealing with. So I had a profound influence on me.
And that's very important, that we exchange how Malcolm had an impact on our lives, because it makes Malcolm real, right? It's not just something that we're reading out of a book, but yet it's something that we apply in our everyday lives. I know when my son was in school, and coming home from school, being told that his class were told that they couldn't write about Malcolm X because he was bad and violent, and that disturbed me. But it just disturbed me to the point where I was just using that as emphasis on my son, on why we need to learn at home, instead of using that as a moment where I can let the community know this is an attack on our self-determination, and we got to stand up. But my ex-wife and a friend of hers, they led the charge, they led the fight, and I got involved, and we got that idea out there. And the teacher had got reprimanded. She should have been fired, but she got reprimanded. And we had an elected official with us at the time, and he took a position in solidarity with us. We were in the newspaper. We were on the news, and what it did, it allowed our community, wherever it was aired, that to know that Malcolm is dear to us. Malcolm is important to us, and we're not playing when it comes to Malcolm. So that was my position, based on me reading Malcolm and having a conversation with other people about Malcolm, where it wasn't just so what I was learning in terms of having some type of racial pride, but actually understanding how serious Malcolm needs to be taken when it's about our self-determination. And I was applying the idea into my reality. So Malcolm allowed me to be more brave in life, to be without fear, and to reflect on the issue at hand, and decide that I'm going to take a stand. I'm going to step up. I'm going to fight for what's correct. I'm going to fight for the interests of my people. There are a number of points in this book that I like to discuss, and I like to discuss briefly, right? Obviously, we don't have enough time to go dig extremely deep into this book, but I think it is key points about Malcolm's position on a number of things. This one is religion and political organization. These conclusions convinced Malcolm X that while he himself remained a devout and practicing Muslim and continued his work in the Muslim Mosque Inc., A new kind of independent and secular political organization had to be constructed. This organization had to be open to all blacks, regardless of religious or other secular beliefs, who agreed on the need to organize a fight around common political goals, even while still in the Nation of Islam. He said in the Rochester speech, those who share his dissatisfaction have become less and less concerned with the religion of the black man, because whether he was a Methodist or a Baptist or an atheist or agnostic, he caught the same hell. So when I read that, right, I'm obviously looking at it from the position of Malcolm, seeing that there was disunity around certain things that did not have no political significance, like what God you serve, things like that. And so Malcolm's taking a position that, you know, it doesn't matter about what God I serve, you serve. It's about what's going on to our people. How do we take a position to advocate for our people? When you hear Malcolm make that distinction between religion and politics, what do you think about that?
I think that he took a very correct position regarding that issue, regarding the issue of religion. Our exploiters, the colonizers, don't care if we are Baptist or Methodist or Pentecostal. The colonizer, the exploiter, the ruling class, all they care about is exploiting us. And they exploit all of us equally they exploit us to the maximum. And that's what I mean by exploiting us equally. If you're a Baptist or a Methodist or Pentecostal, the colonizer will exploit you to the max. And that is so for Malcolm to let us know that we should not stand aside because he's a Methodist, not be in different corners on the issue of dealing with our situation. We should all come together and know that we are being exploited by a person who does not care about our religion. All the person the ruling class care about is maximum exploitation, getting the most money out of us. And so Malcolm took the correct position on that. And for him to articulate that is to spread that word amongst our people. That this is these are the matter of religion has been considered by the leadership, and the leadership has taken a position on it, and the position is a correct position.
Malcolm this is anti-imperialism. This is on page 14. It says, during his final months, Malcolm X began to present a clear explanation of who he had in mind, and speaking of those who practice racism and those who drop bombs on people because of their color. In his December 27th, 1964 radio interview, Malcolm X hailed those United Nations representatives who were openly accusing the United States as well as the European colonial powers of being an imperialist power and of practicing racism. In his Harlem speech on February 15, 1965, he expanded on this theme. There's a worldwide revolution going on, Malcolm said. What is it revolting against? The power structure, an international power structure consisting of American interests, French interests, English interests, Belgian interests, European interests, a structure, a house that has ruled the world up until now. So reading this, right, what do you think how would this apply to today? And when we see what's happening with Burkina Faso and our brother Ibrahim, getting as much support as he is getting internationally, and also how this can apply to Palestine.
Well, the issue is that we have a ruling class, and the ruling class, they readily are in favor of killing us, immediately arriving at the decision to kill us, whether it be in Africa or in Palestine. They immediately arrive at the decision to kill us because they don't care about us and we don't matter. All that matters to them is that we submit to their will. And that is what they have been practicing throughout the years, going back hundreds of years. And that's the practice that they practice in today, that their only concern is to make us submit to them so that they'll be able to exploit us and they will be able to live in luxury and have the good things in life And in spite of knowing that we, in many cases, don't even have what's needed to survive, they're not concerned with that. They're concerned with getting more and more out of us, whether it be in Niger or Burkina Faso or Chad. They intend to get as much out of us as they possibly can, and that has been their mindset throughout the years for hundreds of years, and that's what's going on today.
That's very important. And I know, although Malcolm X was not a political prisoner, he was a prisoner of consciousness. His consciousness had came into development at an advanced stage while he was in prison. You know, this is when he converts to the Nation of Islam. And considering that, when we look at his body of work, when we look at his life, what do you think Malcolm's position would be regarding how we deal with our political prisoners? People like Mumia Abu-Jamal, people like Kamal Siddiqui, people like Imam Jamil Al-Amin, people like Joy Powell.
I think Malcolm would have a high appreciation for the political prisoners today. Mumia Abu-Jamal, other brothers, the sister, Joy Powell. I think he would have a high regard for them, especially having been a prisoner himself. He would know the importance of running into people, our people, having contact with persons who have the information that could change our lives and put us on the correct course that lead to our freedom and lead to us living a peaceful, happy, loving lives, you know. So I think Malcolm X would have a great appreciation for the present day political prisoners and know that they are important persons in the life of entire people, entire nations, you know. So I think he would have a positive view had he been alive and had he met some of our political prisoners, you know.
I know that, you know, Malcolm was very firm on politics and how we need political maturity, right? And that term really helped me develop because it allowed me to look at things from a broader perspective, right? When I look at, when I hear the term political maturity, I start to think about, you know, your personal views and how it needs to advance to the views or what's in the interest of the collective, and the fact that you have to be a part of organization, you have to accept the role and the responsibility to organize people, you have to master language, you know, you have to master propaganda to win people over to your ideas. When I look at Malcolm's life and look at that, he started the Muhammad Speaks, and he decided that, you know, he's going to convey these ideas on paper, distribute them to the people, and that is a position to win them over to the ideas of we have to be together regarding our self-determination, and we have to be willing to step up and protect that. So, how do you look at the term political maturity?
Political maturity, I think, is very important because our people are at a very immature political state, and they are kept that way, and they are deliberately processed to be that way. We are given when we go to school, we are given a revised version of history, and that is not the correct version of history. And so we are like politically immature persons in terms of our knowledge of what the world is, the situation is almost at the zero level. So we are politically immature, and so that we want to know that the way to render ourselves politically mature is to do what Malcolm did, and Malcolm involved himself in extensive studying of what the world has been through and what the present world is. Malcolm did extensive studying on that, and then Malcolm retrained himself from the colonial mindset, and the colonial mindset is one that the rulers have taken from back during the early days of human history, when people really thought that the king was God and they were mere specks of dust. They thought the king knew everything, and they were so stupid. So people had to go through the process of knowing that they had a mind and they could think for themselves. And that was the politically immature state that humanity was in, and humanity had to evolve out of that state. And that is the course that people have to do individually. They have to evolve out of the state of political immaturity. They have to know that they are not specks of dust. They are very valuable entities in the world, and they have to know that they have an innate intelligence, and that they can make decisions on their own. They can evaluate situations, do an analysis of it, and formulate a decision regarding that, and formulate a plan to change things. They can do that without a king telling them what to do. And to possess that mindset is to be politically mature. And that is what our people want to do. That is what people want to do in this world. Working class want to do that. They want to train themselves, retrain themselves, and then they would be politically mature, and they would know that they are equal to any king or president or any other monarch. So
when we look at what's happening in Palestine and we look at what Malcolm's position was then, and I look at that position was correct then and is correct now. We see that the Palestinians are getting more support internationally. They are getting support, obviously, from a number of grassroots organizations. There are a number of demonstrations happening throughout different times in this year that are historical significance. And I think that allows us to understand that Malcolm's ideas had long-term impacts, that he was thinking about tomorrow and the day after. And I think that is how we need to look at Malcolm. Like, what are we doing today that's going to impact tomorrow? What is our position today that's going to impact tomorrow in terms of ideas, of theory, and in terms of practice? What are we committed to do? Where are we committed to be when the time is called for us to stand up for something? Because obviously Malcolm understood that he had to be a part of organizing people. He had to be at the forefront if needed be. He did not run, dodge, or avoid leadership in any way. And I think that when we talk about Malcolm at 100 years, we have to really look at that being significant, right? Even though if it wasn't his 100-year birthday, we should still take Malcolm as seriously as we have to regarding our liberation, because that's how Malcolm was. He was extremely serious. He knew that at any moment his life could be taken from him, but he accepted the calling, and he decided that, it was greater to love his people and practice and expressing how he was going to feel by deciding that he was going to speak. He was going to bring his people together because of the current situation. When you think about Malcolm and you think about Malcolm understanding the possibility of death happening at any moment, when he spoke and in behalf of his people, especially when he decided to take his problems, or our problems rather, to the international stage, how much more does respect you have for Malcolm, knowing that in that line of fire that he was going to still do his work?
Right, that's right. I have a great unlimited respect for Malcolm because of his courage to go forward in light of the situation, in light of the colonists and the racists communicating to him that they intended to kill him. Matter of fact, I questioned a brother about that, Brother Herman Ferguson, about Malcolm's commitment in light of knowing that he was under threat. And he said that he had posed a question to Malcolm. He said, Malcolm, you think you should go on and do the speech and continue to do the speaking that you've been doing in light of the enemy having communicated to you that they intend to kill you? And Herman said that Brother Malcolm responded by saying that there's going to come a time when all of us are going to have to stop running and stand up and go forward in spite of the possibility of being killed. So Malcolm was clear about that. So when he went forward, he knew that there was a possibility of him being killed, but he went forward in spite of that. And that's why I have the greatest respect for him. And I think that our people have to know that freedom is not free, and that we have to go forward in spite of the possibility of being shot, and not go forward telling the enemy that our hands are up, but go forward on with the enemy. Malcolm felt that way, you know. And I have the highest respect for him for expressing that.
Absolutely, and I think that respect is something that we have to pass down to our children, beyond theory, right? Because anybody could say that they respect somebody, but for you to really be respectful to somebody, you have to put that in practice. You have to manifest that in your deeds. And I respect my mother tremendously for actually bringing her experience to me regarding Malcolm X, because she told me while she was in school that a teacher organized a trip to Malcolm's to Malcolm's funeral, and they all went to Malcolm's service, and she didn't know who Malcolm really was in terms of his impact on people, but yet she still remembered that moment, and that teacher knew how important Malcolm X was, and that teacher knew that he or she was going to make an impact on these child's lives. And I think that we adults, that's the responsibility we have to our youth, to let them know that, yo, listen, this is one of our heroes, this is one of our freedom fighters. We take him extremely seriously, and this is how I'm going to express my respect for Malcolm X. I'm going to be about the business of protecting our people's self-determination. And that's why when it comes to political prisoners, I'm adamant about writing to political prisoners, winning people over to join the Northeast Political Prisoner Coalition. So if you're looking to do some work around political action, one political action is the freedom of our political prisoners. You could contact me, Brother Frank, at 347-679-3936. I'll put my number again on the screen so that you can get it, and you can contact me or email me at Sefusankofa, Sefusankofa. Again, that's Sefusankofa at gmail.com. Let me know what your channels are so we can utilize that, because that's how we express our respect for Malcolm, deciding that we're going to bring his ideas to our people. We're going to win over who we can. It's always a struggle because there's a number of distractions happening, but yet we still have to fight. We have to resist those distractions. We have to have a keen, sharp focus. You know, he said Malcolm was an avid reader, used to read the newspaper every single day. He was in tune with what was going on at the time. We need to follow that example. That's being disciplined, that's being focused. And so we have to do that in practice. How do you express your respect for Malcolm?
Well, I as I pointed out, I know that if Malcolm were alive today, he would have a high respect for the political prisoners. And he would tell everyone that if you can't get in touch with me, Malcolm X, then you should get in touch with the political prisoners, because the political prisoners have done the necessary study. They have retrained themselves from being a colonized person living in America. And you want to know that America is training its people, all its people, citizens of America living in America, are being trained 24 hours a day. They are being trained. The government goes through every movie, every TV picture, and bend the picture in a certain way that it has a training impact on the people, so that Malcolm would tell the citizens, all people, to be in touch with political prisoners, because the political prisoners are the best among the citizens, and they have done the necessary studying, and so that they can direct people to retrain themselves, and they too can become a participant, an active participant in improving their life and improving the life of their people.
All right, so that being said, you know, we're going to bring this episode to a close. Peace and love to everybody. Please share with as many contacts as possible, and I'll see you next week. Peace and love.
Peace and love.
Keep Malcolm in your heart and in your deeds.
If If you can't do for yourself what the white man is doing for himself, don't say you're equal with the white man. That's right. If you can't set up a factory like he sets up a factory, don't talk that old equality talk. Who are you? You don't know. Don't tell me Negro, that's nothing. What were you before the white man named you a Negro? And where were you? And what did you have? What was yours? What language did you speak then? What was your name? It couldn't have been Smith or Jones or Bunch or Powell. That wasn't your name. They don't have those kind of names where you and I came from. No, what was your name? And why don't you now know what your name was then? Where did it go? Where did you lose it? Who took it? And how did he take it? What tongue did you speak? How did the man take your tongue? Where is your history? How did the man wipe out your history? What did the man do to make you as dumb as you are right now? This is American justice. This is American democracy. And those of you who are familiar with it know that in America, democracy is hypocrisy. Now, if I'm wrong, put me in jail. But if you can't prove that a democracy is not hypocrisy, then don't put your hands on me. Democracy is hypocrisy. If democracy means freedom, why aren't our people free? If democracy means justice, why don't we have justice? If democracy means equality, why don't we have equality?